What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Home Turf Podcast. It's me, Hunter Mitchell, joined here by my co-host, Cade Harris.
Let's do it. A&M football.
Wow, I will say, we kind of, as just for giggles, last week, did a short breakdown of potential head coaches.
We did.
Just kind of, for whatever, just for laughs. And wow, could our timing not have been more perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Jimbo Fisher, the Sunday after beating Mississippi State 51-10, is relieved of his duties as head coach of Texas A&M. Ross Bjork has a press conference. A&M's athletic director that night was there. He essentially just said that A&M was running in neutral. He made the analogy that, you're driving 75, 80 on the freeway, and you get stuck behind that car going 55, and he said A&M was that car going 55. Neither of us expected him to get fired this year.
No.
But here we are. Been the head coach for 6 years. It feels strange. It really does feel
really
strange.
weird.
I know it's kind of been something that a lot of Aggies have been vying for, but it feels so weird.
Yeah, I mean, I was a freshman in high school when Kevin Sullivan was
Yeah, I remember.
coach, so it's been a while.
Yeah, I remember sitting in my locker in the football locker room, scrolling on my phone, seeing A&M like Jimbo Fisher as a name to hire for A&M. I was like, no way.
Yeah.
I called my dad. I was like, there's no way we get Jimbo Fisher. I'm like, that would be home run hire.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't. Spoiler alert. For better or worse, moment of silence. Jimbo Fisher.
All right, I think that's about it.
So all right, so we'll move on from that. Yeah, I would say feel bad. He's giving me $76.8 million. I can't feel really bad for anybody that's getting that amount of money. So wish him best of luck in his future endeavors. But we're covering Texas A&M football, so we got to talk about who we think is up on the slate.
Yes,
for the Aggies as their next potential head coach. We broke down a little bit last episode, but now we're kind of going in depth. Before we do that, we'll talk about that Mississippi State game real quick. Jalen Henderson coming in and really, first off, shout out to the defense for giving him the ability to play like he did. They had
allowing 3 points.
They had 4 drives that's in the first half that started inside Mississippi State territory.
That pick by Deuce Harmon to set him up was
So,
nice.
Shout out to the defense, but Jalen Henderson did exactly what he needed to do, performed really well as a third-string quarterback coming in his first start ever, had thrown 8 passes before that at Fresno State. Shout out to him. Respect to that. He did a crazy good job. The defense looked good. The firing comes in time to play ACU, who we really will not be covering. That should be a game A&M wins by 50 points. If it's not, that's a little scary because heading into LSU. But right now, Elijah Robinson, defensive line coach, at the helm. Hopefully, they'll be playing a little bit of spark, a little bit of juice. But next man up, I want to hear who you would want the most, and then we can talk about who we think is realistic.
Well, wanting. If I would want the most, I would want Kirby Smart. Are we being realistic here? Are we being realistic?
Let's say with a grain of realism, yeah. I'd be like, who I want the most? Nick Saban.
I don't think it's going to happen, but I would want Dan Lanning.
Yeah. He's already turned around that Oregon program. Looked really good so far. Has a good intensity to him. He's young. That was a good hire for Oregon. But I think the thing you have to, that a lot of people aren't realizing with A&M is that Aggies get very delusional with the money thing. And they were like, money talks, money talks, money talks. I'm like, yes, money does talk. Other places have money too. And Oregon has a lot. And Nike has a lot of money. The only real logistical difference between the two that would maybe constitute a change would be that the main donor source for Oregon is one donor. A&M has multiple spread out, so you can kind of pick your poison with who you want to appeal to try to get things for your program. I don't think it's big enough of a change to lead the number 6 team in the country, where you're building up with your recruiting base, where you got your family at and everything. I don't think it's enough to constitute that kind of a change.
Definitely not. I also don't think A&M will spend the money to do it.
No, and again, also it's like money isn't you look at all the don't. Okay, yes, true. You did just spend 76 or are going to spend $76.8 million. That is a lot of money. Over triple the amount of the largest buyout ever. It costs money.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be able to throw Jimbo Fisher money at this problem again. They won't. I don't think there's a coach that would constitute that right now. But that's why I think that there needs to be a little bit more realism. I don't think you're going to get like a grand slam hire. Your grand slam hire will be Dan Lanning. I don't think you get Dan Lanning. I think it's going to be a coach that is going to need to prove themselves more than Jimbo Fisher proved themselves, which I think may be a good thing. I think Jimbo Fisher came in already with a national championship under his belt. Got a huge contract. He's getting up there in age. I don't want to say he wasn't unmotivated, but your resume is already there, you know? You get a huge contract. If you get fired, you get $76 million. What's the harm, you know?
Yeah.
I think if you get a coach that is like, okay, like if I want to have like a good coaching career, I need to win. And I've got the resources to win. And I'm not saying Jimbo Fisher didn't want to win. I'm just saying the fallout from him being fired is not as big as it would be, say, like a first-time head coach, offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you do good as a coordinator, you lose as a head coach, you're really tarnishing your resume there. That's why I think a younger coach would be great. A younger coach that really needs to win for their career to be like a legacy career. I think Jimbo Fisher already had a legacy career coming into A&M. I think we need a coach that wants to make A&M his legacy.
Yeah, I agree. Someone, that can do that, can recruit well, and someone who can get this fan base and all the players that we have now behind him as well.
Yeah.
Namely Connor Wigman, please. If Connor Wigman transfers, that's going to be sad day in Aggie land. But I think he seems like a kid that would kind of stick around as long as the hire isn't like atrocious.
I will say another one over there in the West.
Kalen DeBoer.
Yeah, I really don't think that happens.
Yeah, I have no clue whether it happens or not, but I would behind it. I would be behind it.
I would too, but Washington has already initiated contract talks with extending him. Which, again, you start throwing contracts at people.
A lot of people are going to find some new contracts this offseason.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. So that's a great assault. I definitely think A&M. I know we just talked about saving money, but I think A&M could definitely out money duel Washington if they really wanted to.
Probably.
But also it's about someone leaving a team who's probably has a very likely shot of being in the college football playoff. And you get your family and everything there to go to a team that has been struggling the last couple of years to really live up to expectations. But again, money does talk. You got a lot of resources. A&M has a lot more resources than Washington does.
Does DeBoer want to travel to Rutgers for conference games?
This is true. This is very true.
Like I wouldn't not consider that. If I was a head coach in whether it be Oregon, Washington, USC, UCLA, and I had opportunities elsewhere where I didn't have to do all these crazy trips for leaving to the Big Ten. I don't know.
And I will say, Dan Lanning was very blunt, and he said, "I'm staying at Oregon."
Well, what is he supposed to say?
Which is true, but I mean, there are ways that coaches can say things that make like my thing with Kalen DeBoer on the possibility side. He said my focus is 100% on us playing ball right now. That answer leaves it open. Lanning shut it. Lanning said, "I'm staying at Oregon." Which even when
Brian Kelly said the fairy godmother would have to come sprinkle her magic wand for me to leave Notre Dame. He said that 2 years ago.
which again, a little bit of a little grain of salt there, but I mean, I think DeBoer's comments leave it a lot more open than Lanning's. And Lanning has been a very blunt coach.
For sure.
Because I mean, even Lincoln Riley, when he left, he was thought LSU. He answers, he says, "I'm not going to LSU," and he didn't.
He did not.
He did not. He did not go to LSU, so he didn't lie. So that's why I think that you have to read the nuances in some of these coaches' responses. Because I mean, the same way we talked about it with the Group of Five coach that you were not very high on, Jeff Traylor,
right,
for UTSA. Mm-hmm. His answer to the what do you think about the A&M hire was essentially to throw his resume out there on the table.
I mean, duh.
Yeah.
It's completely different than wanting to leave Oregon and Washington than wanting to leave UTSA.
Yeah, I mean, he literally was like, well, it's to be expected. We've had a lot of success the last 4 years. I've been in the state of Texas my entire life, recruited well here. The senior class got coming up playing their last home game this coming week. It's they've been super successful in their time here. It's to be expected when we have this kind of performance year in and year out. And it's like, okay, man, all right, buddy, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So his wasn't keep the door cracked. His was slamming it open.
Can I tell you who it's not going to be? And the fact that he had to address that it's not going to be him was hilarious. It was Coach Prime.
Yeah, Deion Sanders.
I don't even want to say his name's Coach Prime. Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
You're not going to be the coach of Texas A&M. And Stephen A. Smith, you're an idiot.
Yeah, he hasn't really done anything. Now, do I think Deion Sanders is going to be a very good head coach? Yes, I really do. I legitimately think he is going to be a very good head coach. But he's not. That is such a potential hire that it's not what A&M's looking for.
No.
That's a prospective hire, like a we hope that he turns out that's not what A&M's looking for right now. A&M is looking for a proven winner that has won at an elite level. But I mean, you're not getting Glenn Schumann. He's kind of written that off the table already. The other options you have, Mike Elko, which I know A&M wants that because of what he did while at A&M. Understandable. I don't think that feels like a little bit of a softball hire.
It does. I don't know how I would feel about that one. I don't know how well of a recruiter he is. He didn't recruit very much while he was here at A&M.
Yeah.
He kind of left that to his assistants.
Which I will say, if he leaves A&M or he leaves Duke to come to A&M, please leave Tyler Santucci at Duke.
Did you see what Tyler Santucci is like an award semifinalist for?
What?
The Broyles Award, which is the best assistant coach in the country. Oh
my God,
he's up there.
His recruiting of linebackers should be studied at how bad he was at doing it.
I mean, he would get him committed. Anthony Hill and Harold Perkins, and then he would lose them.
And then we were up there for.
He got Edgerrin Cooper though.
It's true. He was up there for what's his name? Oklahoma State transfer. His name's eluding me. Oklahoma State's big linebacker transfer that seemed like a lock to go to A&M, commits to USC.
Oh,
I don't remember his name, but that happened in the offseason. Yeah, I think Elko would be a fine hire. I think it'd be okay. Mm-hmm. It's not the big hit you're looking for. No. I don't think. I think right now DeBoer is your top. If you're looking for Group of Five, my pick for Group of Five is Kirk Keenetti.
Yeah.
But I think Jeff Traylor's probably the more likely option there.
What about the name Mike Norvell?
I do not think you're. I think Florida State fans would start committing hate crimes on Texas A&M if
would they though? Would they though? Because they were. I mean, I don't know. They were probably.
They were not very happy.
They weren't happy when
Jimbo Fisher.
But now they're like, thank God.
Now they're like, woohoo! But then and then if we were to take Mike Norvell,
yeah,
dude,
that's true.
be martial law in Tallahassee, Florida. That would be terrible for them.
And then Jimbo goes back to Florida State.
I really don't see a snowball's chance in hell of that happening. I don't see it. Again, to be fair, I didn't see a snowball's chance in hell of Jimbo Fisher. But I really don't see it, Mike Norvell. You're playing in a national championship caliber level. You're excelling. You're recruiting well, except for Travis Hunter. I just don't see it. That just seems like, even money wise, it seems like such a just not even a lateral move. I'd say that's a backwards move, even with money.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't see it happening.
Me neither.
I think resources wise, Florida State has some of the better resources out there. It's not at A&M's level, but then again, no like real schools are at A&M's level, and there's a good collection of them. But it's very hard to get to A&M's level of resources. So you look at that and you're like, yeah, okay, that's one of the reasons Jimbo Fisher left Florida State. I just don't see it with Mike Norvell. I don't see why.
Yeah. Any other names out there that you're kind of like, hey, maybe this could be an option, or if you were the athletic director, you'd go out there and try and pursue?
From the Power 5 level, I mean, I've heard James Franklin get thrown around.
Ugh.
Yeah, I don't see that happening either. That's
like Mike Norvell.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. Lane Kiffin's not happening. He would love to come here, but I don't see.
You know who I think would love to come here that's not happening?
What?
Dabo Sweeney.
Oh, that is a name I've heard thrown around, and man, do I not want Dabo Sweeney.
No, that's literally Jimbo Hire 2.0.
He is on a sinking ship. He has degraded because he refuses to use NIL.
Can't use the transfer portal.
He refuses to use transfer portal. No. He is a stubborn, close-minded, old-school head coach, which is not what A&M needs, especially because that's what they just got rid of.
Definitely.
No, that would literally just be that would be Jimbo Fisher without a stubbly beard.
And you're out on anybody from the NFL ranks, right?
I think the NFL to college pipeline is such a risky gamble that I wouldn't do it. If they have not had experience coaching at the college level, I think it's a ridiculous move. I think it's such a different style of coaching. They're coaching 28, 30-year-old men with families.
Yeah.
And and own houses. And what NIL players are doing that now, but they're grown dudes, no, that's they're people who are 14 and their dad's playing in the NFL, no.
Steve Sarkisian.
It's such a get out of here.
Why?
It's such a I heard Dan Campbell. I love Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell, I would die for Dan Campbell. I love what he's done for the Lions. I've always silently rooted for the Lions,
Me too.
So it's really good to see them succeed. Dan Campbell has them playing for each other. Oh man, do I not want him the head coach at A&M. His style of coaching, don't really know how well that would translate to the college level.
Yeah. I don't think you're going to have to worry about that because why would he leave the Lions?
Exactly. And why would you? Yeah. So I think the NFL's a bad hire. I think you get from the college ranks. Again, I think Group of 5, your best bet is Kirk Ignetti. I'll say it. I'll scream it at the top of the roof. The only thing you don't like about Kirk Ignetti is that he's older than Jimbo Fisher.
Wow.
But he has yet to have a true legacy like Power 5, I want to leave my mark kind of thing. Jeff Traylor, option 2, like we mentioned, from the Group of 5 ranks. Power 5, I think Kalen DeBoer is your biggest home run hire. I think Elko's probably close behind as well. It'd be really funny to have for Elko to leave for 2 years and then just come right back. I don't see an in-house hire.
Okay, I was gonna ask you about that. You don't think E-Rob?
No, I love Elijah Robinson. I think A&M, its fans and its donors demand someone who has shown that they can really be that guy.
So who's it going to be, bro? I have no idea.
I don't know either. And that's what's so beautiful and horrible about about this entire. We haven't had to deal with this process in a long time.
Yeah. And I will say I wasn't following it as closely, like at the time of the transition from Sumlin to Jimbo.
Yeah.
So this is like semi new territory for me. I mean, I was following the baseball surge when that went down, and then when we got rid of Billy Kennedy, I was pretty heavily, who are we gonna get for basketball? But yeah, this is kind of new ground for me. New football coach.
What would you think? What would you think about Lance Leipold?
Yeah, so I can't believe we haven't brought that name up. I think I'd be fine with it.
He has every program he has been at. He has turned it around.
I mean, for crying out loud, he's gonna send Kansas to a bowl game for second year in a row.
Yeah, something that hasn't happened in forever, and they're good.
Yeah, and they lost their starting quarterback.
Yeah, yeah. I think Leipold. I think Leipold could definitely be an option. That is a little bit of a potential hire as well. I think same thing with Chris Kleiman.
Yeah,
That feels like a potential hire as well. Your home runs will be Dan Lanning, Mike Norvell, Kalen DeBoer would be a home run hire. But I think the more realistic options you're looking at Mike Elko. Don't leave Lance Leipold off the table. Jeff Traylor, same way.
Mm-hmm.
But man, who knows? They keep their cards close to their chest. It's gonna be a fun couple of weeks.
Fun? Is that the word you're going to use to describe it?
Fun can be stressful.
Yeah. I will say I'm glad I'm not the one having to make the decision.
Oh God, yeah, yeah. That's a lot of sweat on Ross Bjork's back.
It's his make or break hire. I mean, even though he's hired, all of his hires have been really good. This one better be really good too, because we all know how A&M fans treat football.
Yeah, it's religion in Texas. You hear it. But we'll
you want to give a score prediction for this week?
Oh God. Oh yeah, I forgot we're playing football this week. It feels like an afterthought. 55 to. I think they get some garbage touchdown to 10.
Yeah, it's gonna look about like last week.
Yeah, I think so.
I'll go. Screw it. 63-7.
I think with Jalen Henderson to get 63.
He scored 51 against Mississippi State.
Fair enough.
Abilene Christian's defense is ranked 121 in FCS.
Wow, that's actually really bad. I actually didn't know that. That is terrible. Yeah, that's awful.
So I hope everyone is excited for this game this weekend.
I'm excited for what lies ahead for Aggie football, but for us, that's all that lies here on this episode. I'm Hunter Mitchell.
I'm Cade Harris.
And we will catch y'all next time.
Yar.